Welcome to the Natural History Cupboard. Come on in.
And welcome back to the Natural History Cupboard podcast, the place where the weird and wonderful parts of the natural world come together.
As well as the underdressed.
Yeah, all right. We'll get onto that in a second. I'm your host, Gareth, and this is Aaron. Aaron, okay. Yeah, what have you been up to?
I'll
point out this in a second.
Not much, to be honest, this week. Although there was a bat flying around work today.
Nice.
Because it was broad daylight outside, which
just disturbed its roost, I suppose.
Well, but where we are in the world, I'm wondering if it's permanent disturbance. I had a box ready for it, and I put something out for it to hide when I run out of time at the end of the day. I put something out for it to hide him, but yeah, I don't know because I didn't see it for the rest of the afternoon.
No.
But in other news, I do have stegosauruses on my socks, and you know what that means.
Oh right, yes. You've been thagamized?
No, it means I've got stegosauruses on my socks.
That's fair enough.
So yeah, that's where we are this week. And yourself?
Whoop. Dropping that off my knee. Well, as you can see, I'm not in my usual podcast attire.
No, you're celebrating our new sponsor.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah. No, I got 3/4 of the way here and then swore very loudly in the car because I realised I wasn't wearing my usual...
Your uniform.
Yeah, my uniform, yeah. I don't think I've ever done that on a way to work. Well, I've now done it on the way to here. So, yeah. So bear with me this week because I'm not wearing that. But we could blank it out if you want. There you go.
Unfortunately, the quality of this podcast will suffer for it.
Of course, yeah.
Every now and then, you just hear it. It's me, it's Mario.
Wow. Anyway, well, I've had an interesting week. Started off like my week at work, basically chucking it down. And you know what Exmoor is like. It's a lovely, lovely wet place at the best of the times. And this was a particularly wet day, so much so that the day previous that the enclosures that the collection I work at had got eels in them.
Nice.
Had been flushed into there, and we had to move them out.
Pick them up and move them into
basically move them on down on the stream, just basically help them down. And these were big, chunky eels.
Yeah?
I mean, the length of this couch, and I'm not exaggerating. Yeah,
wow,
big eels. So we caught those up, and that was a bit of fun. It was like catching the slipperiest snake you've ever come across. Really, really cool. And I've never got up close to an eel before.
They are really cool. We used to, me and my brother. He does listen to this podcast, so I hope he remembers this. But when we moved into a housing estate that in Devon, we were born and raised in Devon, but we moved away and then moved back. When we moved back, we moved into a relatively new housing estate, which is now very. In fact, you live pretty much nearby it. There was a stream running through this estate, and it wasn't very disturbed at the time. Now I think it is, and you wouldn't find. But we used to go down there with a couple of buckets and some fishing nets, and we'd hoik out these eels.
Yeah.
And we'd observe them and then put them back. That was what Pokemon collecting was before Pokemon Red and Blue came out.
Well, that was how the original creator of Pokemon got the idea for it. But yeah, that's. I mean, that was essentially what we were doing, was catching these things and sticking them in a bucket, then releasing them further downstream. But
we never saw any this size. They were babies. They were always
little elvers.
Yeah, elvers. Thank you.
Well, the fascinating thing is these are critically endangered animals.
Yep.
That can live for 20 plus years before they even return to the sea to go and reproduce.
Yeah.
And presumably they've been living further upstream in some of the ponds in the zoo with large predatory things that would quite happily eat them and have survived quite well off any other bits of fish and things that have ended up in these ponds. So that was pretty cool. Like I said, never seen one before up close. I think I've seen a moray eel in the wild once in Australia.
Nice.
Very brief sighting, if I remember correctly, but other than seeing New Zealand's eels in aquariums there, which were amazing and huge eels, bigger than these, I've got to. I'm enamoured by the European eel, and I think there will be a creature feature on them in the coming week or coming months, I suppose.
They're fascinating. Won't go into too much detail because of literally what you just said, but they were thought of, and at the time I thought of these little ones as freshwater eels, and they were thought of as different species, and because no one knew where they went at one point, no one knew where they bred.
No one's 100% sure on it.
It's still very vague, but now we're understood that they are one species. Actually, I've seen one on a beach as well down at Duckpool in Cornwall, and I think my brother was with me that time too. It was stuck. I don't know if he'll remember, but he'll remember there's this in Duckpool, there's this kind of rocky ridge that comes down the beach. It looks like maybe Godzilla's sleeping underneath the stones, and his kind of plates are above it. But in those plates, we climb on there, and in one of the rock pools up there was an eel in there. Me and this other boy that we didn't know each other, we found it in there, and I'm pretty sure my brother was with me then too. But yeah, that one was chunky and bigger. Yeah, at least like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, these are big animals. Oh, that's not too bad. There's been more sightings of European white storks. Or sorry, there's been more sightings of white storks just outside of Barnstable again this week.
Yeah,
and yet again, I've been nowhere near there when they've been there. We went looking for them last week down Fremington. Nothing there. Saw loads of ibis and egrets and that, but no stork, unfortunately. But we did have a lovely sort of sort of morning tea, I suppose, as it were, sat there watching.
On that subject,
not a total loss.
I've been told about an osprey that we need to go and see. But I've been going. This is
You've been seeing an osprey on the side, have you? Honestly.
I know where it is, but that's coming away from the tour. Going back to the tour, back to the river that you're talking about. I keep going down there to see if I can spot the otters and the beavers that apparently are there, and I've not seen anything. So I think people are just lying.
Prove it, beavers. Prove it. Anyway, should we go into the news?
Yeah, let's go in there.
It's the news!
Right, well, we're into this week's news. Aaron, I believe you're starting us off.
I am starting us off. And what I want to say right off the bat is, let's not use the word good. But
dear.
The amount of news, the news headlines I've got this week are so interesting or juicy or able to be debatable that really each one of them
could
have been its own main article. So forgive me if I've overblown it a little bit. So the first one comes into us from Abhijit Borkar, who sent us an article from the Czech National Museum.
Yeah.
And the headline is, "The original fossils of human ancestors Lucy and Salam welcome you to the new exhibition, People and Their Ancestors." So this is the Czech National Museum in Prague, which has opened an exhibit about our species and ancestors. The exhibition will run up until the 23rd of October and is hosting prehistoric celebrities Lucy and Salam, who are Australopithecines, the first hominins known to leave both the trees and Africa. So please, the reason why I've selected this article from Abhijit is because it's to get more eyes on it, and if there's anyone in Europe or who can go from Britain, I suspect it's probably a bit much in short term for American people, but if there's anyone listening who's interested and can get there, to go there, because if I had holiday remaining, I would be going. It's awesome. But check out the article on their website because it summarizes the exhibition way better than I can here. It's definitely right in some of our wheelhouses.
Yeah. Well, my first one is from Popular Mechanics. Scientists have found a creature that shockingly gives birth to two different species. Ooh. Actually, it's not that amazing, and it's something that has happened in the past before. But essentially, the Iberian harvester ant produces or has produced offspring from two different species. Somehow, queen ants can actually mate with males of other species and clone them, producing eggs from an entirely separate species.
What?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's a quite complex how the whole thing works, but it basically is a way of them being to sort of hybridize to an extent, but not hybridize.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because we'll end up going
on, but it is
way too
fascinating.
far. That is fascinating. So the next one comes to us from MSN. It's not good news, really. And I don't even like the headline, so I'm going to change it a little bit. Joe Schriebvogel's former colleague mauled to death by a big cat at his animal collection. The actual headline is a little bit more flowery. In yet another entry into the book of Death by Captive Big Cat, we have the proprietor of Growler Pines Tiger Preserve, who lost his life needlessly in an incident involving a tiger in his care. Whilst no details about the incident have been published at time of recording, the victim was an associate of Joe Schriebvogel, who self-crowned himself as the Tiger King, more like the Tiger Loser.
And that was?
Yes.
That was his real name,
That was his real name. He likes to be called Joe Exotic. I will not give him the satisfaction of calling him that.
Right, is he still alive?
Yeah, I don't know if he's still in prison.
Oh, no, wait, it's Carol Baskin's husband, wasn't it?
Yeah, who then turned out alive, apparently.
Oh, right.
I don't know. It's all a weird kind of weird kind of inbred kind of thing going on, I think. Anyway, this guy had plenty of photos online of him hugging primate killing apex predators, and whilst no one should mock his passing, and I certainly don't mean to here, he is a human that leaves behind a family after all, it does serve as a stark reminder of why protected contact is always and should always be the only approach to working with big cats. Anything less than protected contact is asking for trouble.
So my next one is Rare Ladybird, recorded in the UK for the first time. This is from the BBC. A new ladybird species has been recorded in the UK for the first time following our hot weather over the summer. I bet you can see where this is going.
Oh, yeah.
So Professor Russell Wynne, director of the Wild New Forest, said that the little arboreal ladybirds, which had been found in moth traps across the New Forest during the summer, but were not confirmed up until this point as part of our native fauna, shall we say, has basically led to the species now being sort of recognized or added to the UK species inventory as a species that is new to Britain. They're normally found in France, continental Europe, but have made the trip across the Channel to settle in Southampton and the New Forest, Professor Wynne has said. And essentially, yeah, they're not native to the UK, but there's probably a good chance that with our changing climate, they're making that trip and settling down. It's not the first species we're probably going to see, or certainly not the first one. There are lots of different species that are turning up here because of that. So, yeah.
Do we have a small minority of loud British ladybirds in London protesting this?
Yeah, they painted their carapaces. They painted their elytra with little crosses of St. George on them.
Oh, dear. Has anyone ever noted on this podcast? I don't know if they can see it with the camera quality that we've got, which we should really improve. But has anyone ever noted how since you started holding your microphone, it looks like you're holding a hamster's butt to your face?
I mean, that's a very odd looking hamster.
I know, but from here, I was just looking at it in your hand there. You can't really see the plastic bit; you just see the furry bits. Anyway, moving on.
A very odd connection, but yeah, fair enough.
Comes to us from Kent Online. The headline being: Charity Commission confirms suspension of Damien Aspinall as trustee of Howlett's Wild Animal Trust amid long-running investigation. Someone you can mock, as opposed to the last article I did, essentially because his health and wealth will ensure that he and his family will survive, is Damien Aspinall, the apple that fell very far from the family tree and is wholly undeserving of his father's legacy. Anyway, Aspinall has made a name for himself as the zoo owner who continuously and unabashedly craps on other zoos, despite his, in my opinion, being nowhere near the standards set by others in the country. Anyway, Aspinall has gotten himself into trouble for alleged dodgy dealings, with more than £150,000 being paid out to a lady named Victoria for her interior design work. Why is that concerning, Gareth?
I mean, That's a lot of money.
Well, yes, and also because Victoria is Damien's wife.
Ah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm seeing where that's going.
The year before that, she made £12,500 for that same service. So quite the pay rise. I'm sure his keepers aren't envious at all. Anyway, that £15,000 payment is 10% of the donations made by decent folk like you guys listening. So that's 10% of public donations paid to his wife. Foundation trustee Charles Filmer was also the recipient of a nice cut, being paid £124,000, whilst Damien's stepmother received a pension payment of around £30,000 in recognition of her gardening efforts. Again, I wonder if the zookeeper's pension plan is quite as lucrative.
My final one is actually a bit of an update for you from Forest and Bird.
Oh yeah.
The sort of, well, if you remember last week, I told you go and vote on your favourite species.
I was going to ask about this and the Lego one.
I haven't checked in on the Lego one. That will run for probably quite a bit longer.
Right.
But Forest and Bird will be coming to an end soon. So I've got the top 10, the current top 10.
Okay.
Of Forest and Bird. Now I am going to butcher some of these names. Some of them I can pronounce, some of them I can't. So currently coming in at number 10, we'll do a sort of reverse, or going up to number 1, most popular at the moment. Number 10 is the Hi. Number 9 is the Taroa, which these are all the Maori names for them.
Yep.
I know some of them. I think that's the Royal Albatross is the Taroa.
I think I prefer that name, Taroa. That sounds cool.
The Takahe, which
that's a cool name.
Yeah, they are an incredibly cool bird, and one that I would have. I'm glad they're in the top 10 at least. The Piwaka. Yeah,
I don't know if that picked up, but the cat wants to come in.
Mention of birds, cat's turn.
Yeah.
The Piwaka, which I think is the wagtail, very similar to the Australian wagtail. The Ruru, which is a species of owl. The Karuri, I've probably butchered that one. The Tawaki Pika Toka. I think that's the yellow-eyed penguin. The Kakapo, I know how to say that one. Thank you for that. Kia, that's coming in at number 9, and currently the outstanding leader is the Karere, which is the New Zealand hawk, I believe. In fact, and just to hammer home the point, it's on the $20 note, which I happen to have a New Zealand $20 still in my wallet from when I was there.
I love the $5 one you got as well.
It's got the penguin on it as well, and I've got it folded up so it sits in my wallet in a little pocket thing. But yeah, I love the fact that there are birds on their money. That's what we need on our money. Forget all like monarchs and rubbish like that. Now give us birds, wildlife, red kites and things like that. So yeah, there's still enough time to be able to make your vote. Although I think by the time this comes out, it might just be beyond the point. But yes, you can make your voice heard. I think the Kia or the Kakapo is still in with a chance.
And if it's not too late to vote by the time this comes out, make sure you vote for the ones that Gareth really struggles to pronounce, which is
3/4.
I was going to say, any of them isn't the Kia, the Kakapo, or the Takahe.
Yeah.
Go with any of those, because the outcuts that you guys don't get to hear, they really entertain me.
And I'm sorry to every single person from New Zealand who's hearing this.
It's, if you can imagine, because you won't hear it, but if you can imagine, it's like me trying to pronounce some of these Latin names. But yeah, cool update. So with that all out the way, we're going to move on into the main topic for this week, and that's with me. It comes to us. Well, again, Abhijit was kind enough to send this one in to us. It's on MSN, but I believe it's actually a Time article. And the headline is, "The case for life on Mars just got stronger." Now, I wanted to push the Czech Museum article.
David Bowie music intensifies.
Yeah. I wanted to actually use the Czech Museum article in my main topic, but I ultimately decided on this one. But I want to just kind of reiterate what I said at the start, which is that both, in fact, all deserve top billing realistically. There's just not enough time. By the time I get to it next week, it's probably a bit, not next week, the week after next, probably a bit of a wait for that. So we'll go with this one. If you cast your minds back over what you know of our interactions with Mars, you'll recall the Perseverance, NASA's Martian rover drone, braving the rough terrain of our closest neighbour, the red planet of Mars. Its point was to search for signs of microbial life in the hopes that NASA can document the natural history of Mars. So one day we might have a spin-off podcast called Natural History Mars, and our Natural History Cupboard Mars, and our main one will be Natural History Cupboard.
I'll leave that to the likes of Elon Musk when he gets there.
Oh God, no, not him.
Just leave him up there.
Anyway, the rover basically collects samples of Martian rock and regolith, which is broken up hard substrates, that it keeps for a future mission that will see NASA send another craft to Mars and bring these samples back to us on Earth. So the Perseverance,
intergalactic Deliveroo.
Yes. So the Perseverance landed in the Jezero crater, previously the site of the Jezero Lake, and then turned west, following dried riverbeds that were once crashing with water. Well, last year in July, the rover marked 18 miles of travel along this former watercourse. It took 3.5 years to do these 18 miles, by the way. And arrived at a river valley about a quarter of a mile wide. The location is known to NASA as Shayava Falls and is marked by the presence of a 3.2-foot rock from which Perseverance has drilled a sample. Now, that sample, according to a new paper published in Nature Reports, may contain potential biosignatures of microbial life from prehistory. According to NASA Administrator Sean Duffy, and I'm not quoting him, it's his words, but paraphrased. The find is, to date, the closest humans have come to finding life on Mars, and is a groundbreaking discovery. But whilst the find is obviously not living, nor is it fossilized. In fact, it's a range of striped colours interrupted by poppy seed-like dots and yellow rosettes reminiscent of dull leopard markings. The red colour in this is basically iron-rich mud.
Yeah.
The purple in it is iron and phosphorus, and the yellow and green bits are iron and sulfur, essentially forming a buffet line for microbes, because that's what they would eat. The spots and rosettes, on the other hand, appear to resemble similar markings on Earth that are left by metabolizing microbes here. Now, the Perseverance found that these features were high in iron-rich vivianite, which is found in peat bogs and also in decaying organic matter, which microbes will eat on Earth. And now I'm not going to be able to pronounce this one, I don't think, but greigite or greigite. Anyway, both of which are produced by microbial life. So right now, NASA is tempering its excitement using terms like potential biosignature. In other words, trying to be careful.
Aliens!
Yeah, basically to indicate that this is absolutely not concrete evidence of life, but rather a structure or substance that may possibly have a biological origin, but requires further study to know for sure. With that in mind, NASA does have retrieving these samples on their to-do list. The samples are contained within...
I like that. To-do list. Go back to Moon. Pop to Mars.
Collect the vials of space dust.
Remember to pick up space dust. Need eggs and milk.
The samples are contained within small titanium tubes, which basically, as Perseverance has been puttering about, collecting the samples, it then kind of just drops them, and it's left like this breadcrumb trail leading from the landing site to where he is now.
Is behind him is an alien walking along, going, "What the?
Just a alien Minotaur, alien Theseus." Sorry.
So there's another one. Oh, for goodness' sake!
Someone's trashing my planet.
Just throwing them away.
But it's one of these Earthens I can see through my massive telescope that trashes their planet.
Just over the ridge, there's a huge resort.
Yeah. Golf resort. Anyway, but plan for retrieving it seems to be fairly loose at present. Perseverance was obviously the fantastic first step, but the next steps potentially include an Earth return orbiter, from which a second, smaller rover can be launched to collect the samples and then return to the orbiter for bringing them back to Earth, which is very Star Wars. It kind of reminds me of the the Jedi have their starfighters and they go with that orbital ring and then that takes them into hyperdrive, and then it kind of reminds me of that. But that's because I'm a nerd. Anyway, unfortunately,
I'd be happy if we can get some of the droids from Star Wars. That's fine.
An R2 unit.
I want a pit droid.
Oh yeah,
and an R2.
Would be cool. Do you know what? For all the flaws of the sequel trilogy, I like the BB models too,
and the battle droids.
I don't so much like the battle droids. I do like the droidicas though. We are getting way off topic. Unfortunately, any machinery and hardware post-Perseverance's creation has yet to be made for this mission, including and not limited to Star Wars droids. And of course, in his great wisdom, we have to talk favourably, because otherwise we'll get cancelled.
Oh yes, because I'm sure he's aware of
Hand on your heart.
Jimmy Kimmel, us. I mean, that's how it goes.
In his great wisdom, the great leader is intent on slashing NASA's budget.
Come and get us.
To such an extent that many programs, including the Mars sample return mission, are, for the time being, axed. For the rest of us, though, we'll just have to wait and see. But it is exciting news. And it'd be really cool to think that there was another planet with life on in our solar system.
Life on Mars. Brilliant song.
It's the creature feature.
Right. Well, this week's creature feature is a bit of a long one, but it is an animal that has been around for an incredibly long time and actually plays a huge part in our advancement as a species, even the fact that we are here as mammals in charge of the planet. So this is a really sort of interwoven multi-species species.
Yeah, I'm buzzing.
So honeybees basically is what we're looking at. Now, you've probably seen these before on a lovely summer or spring day, buzzing around. Or you may have even confused them with something else, or you may be lucky enough to have gone and done beekeeping. Have you done beekeeping?
I've never done it. No, I've never done it.
I've helped out someone who had beehives, and I've got to admit, I'm hooked. I would quite happily have beehives if I had the chance. My
sister's grandfather is which sounds weird, different parents, but he is like an authority on beekeeping, and he's gone around apiarist. Thank you, and he's gone around the world lecturing on it.
That's pretty cool. Well, the story of honeybees begins more than 100 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period. Now, at that time, Earth's landscape was dominated by conifers, cycads, and ferns, and most plants relied on the wind to disperse pollen. This is a place and a time where there were no flowering plants. The sudden evolutionary rise, though, of the angiosperms, which are the flowering plants, the others being the gymnosperms, basically brought with it nectar and colourful petals and enclosed seeds, as well as, fruit as we sort of know it today. And this triggered a massive evolutionary revolution in the ecosystems of planet Earth. Their flowers required new pollinators to carry out the pollination and carry the pollen from one bloom to another. Now, the insects were ideally suited to this task, and it's actually, at this point as well, we see an increase in the diversity of insect families as well in the mid to late Cretaceous period. It's also the point where we start to see the rise of the crown mammal group, which is the mammal group that we belong to, because at this point, crown mammals were small shrew-like animals, so more insects, more food for things like that. So part of the reason why we basically are here as the mammals that we are.
Yeah, right.
So the ancestors of bees were also present as well, but these were solitary hunting wasp-like creatures belonging to the family Crabanoididae. The wasps, like many wasps do today, helped provide for their nest by paralyzing prey for their larvae to feed upon. Now, at some point, a lineage began to substitute pollen for prey. probably because flowers were now far more abundant and provided both protein in pollen. It's not something you tend to think of as being present in it, but it's highly packed with protein, and sugar in the nectar of the flowers as well. Now, over millions of years, these pollen-feeding wasps gave rise to the first true bees. Now, one of the most striking pieces of fossil evidence that sort of shows this comes from over 100 million years ago, a specimen that was preserved in Burmese amber. Now, Burmese amber is one that I do have to mention. There is a certain amount of an ethical quandary around it because the amber itself isn't always obtained, shall we say, in the best way for the people who are mining it. So this is unfortunately, this is an area that brings us an awful lot of scientific advancement for a human cost as well.
Right.
And there is an ethical query that we have to sort of look at from a social point of view, I suppose. But the animal itself was Melitospex burmensis, and this tiny insect had both wasp-like jaws and branched hairs, ideally for trapping pollen. Basically, the best bits of, well, both bees and wasps, capturing a moment in evolutionary transition. Other fossils showed that at the time the dinosaurs went extinct, 66 million years ago, bees and flowering plants were already firmly linked in the web of life in sort of mutual dependency. So they were already there by this point. So the world was set to be run by the bees, or be helped by the bees, shall we say. Now, the genus Apis, to which honeybees belong, including the modern honeybee, likely arose some 30 million years ago in Asia. And early representatives were most likely small cavity nesting bees, which already exhibited some level of sociability, a bit like a lot of the smaller solitary bee species that'll quite happily nest next to each other, but are not eusocial in that same sort of sense as proper bees or honeybees.
Can I just pull you up on something?
Go on then.
I think you said that dinosaurs went extinct 66 million years ago.
Non-avian dinosaurs.
After the question last week, it was bugging me. When you said it, I could feel my brain ticking.
Now, over time, these species acquired a suit of traits which we now associate with honeybees. The corbicule, or pollen baskets on their hind legs, which are quite obvious when they've obviously been feeding on pollen. Their long tongues for sipping nectar from deep flowers, and eventually their ability to form large colonies with complex communication systems. Do you know what the communication way that the bees talk to each other?
No.
No?
Oh, let's say no, just to be safe.
It's the waggle dance.
No, I didn't know that.
Okay. No. It's the way that they sort of move and pass messages throughout the colony.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's nothing else.
No, yeah, okay.
Something about, I was going to say something about heating the nest up.
No, that's to do with...
that's different.
Yeah, that's different.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So this is known as the famous waggle dance. Now, in which a bee indicates the direction and distance of food sources to their nestmates, and it's thought to have appeared some 20 million years ago, cementing the honeybee as some of the most sophisticated communicators in the insect world. So they will basically dance the direction of where the food is likely to be, where they've just gone and fed. So obviously, one of the biggest things about honeybees is they live in a big hive, whether that's the hive that they would naturally form in the wild or one that is man-made. It's pretty much run the same way. The modern honeybee colony functions as what biologists call a superorganism, a society so integrated that the survival of individuals is inseparable from the whole colony. So during the summer, a hive may contain 40,000 to 80,000 bees, while in winter, when resources are scarce, the population contracts to just a few thousand tightly clustered individuals who'll survive on the stored honey. About this time of the year, the colony numbers are going to start to go down where we are. It's obviously started to get colder and wetter now, and a lot of beekeepers will be, well, noticing that.
Yeah.
At the center of the society is the queen, the only fertile female in the colony. She may live for 3 to 5 years and can lay up to 2,000 eggs in a single day at the peak of her productivity. Now, the queen produces a cocktail of pheromones that not only suppress the reproduction in the worker bees, but also signals the overall health and unity of the colony. The worker bees are sterile females, and they make up the majority of the hive. Their roles shift as they age in a process known as temporal polyethism. Now, newly emerged workers spend their first days cleaning cells and warming the brood. Basically, it's the work experience jobs.
Yeah.
As they age, they graduate to nursing duties, feeding larvae with a mixture of honey and pollen and secretions from their glands. Lovely. After 2 weeks, they transition to hive maintenance, building combs, storing nectar, taking the bins out, regularly regulating temperature by fanning their wings, or guarding the entrance against intruders. So, the real dirty work, I suppose. Only after about 3 weeks do they leave the hive to forage for nectar and pollen. A perilous job that exposes them to predators, weather, and pesticides. Most foragers live only a few weeks. Think of it a bit like the sort of flying aces of World War One, the 20-minuters. You've got a very short period, but I suppose it's probably the most interesting thing a bee does in its entire life. There's a lot goes on.
Yeah.
So the third caste, the drones, are the colony's males. Produced from unfertilized eggs, they are what are known as haploid, carrying only one set of chromosomes. Their sole purpose is to mate with a virgin queen from other colonies during mid-air swarms, known as drone congregation flights. A successful drone dies in the act of mating. So be that a success if you want or not, I don't know. I mean, he's fulfilling his biological purpose. The rest are expelled from the hive as winter approaches. They're basically chucked out as they contribute nothing to the colony's survival. Brutal. The hive survives lean seasons thanks to its stored honey, which can amount to 30 to 60 pounds in a strong colony, which is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, workers regulate the hive temperature year round at about 35 degrees C, which is toasty.
Yeah, that is.
Whether by clustering tightly together in the cold or by fanning air across water droplets in the heat, a precision that rivals climate-controlled technologies in humans, which is, I believe, what you were thinking of, them sort of cooling themselves down. Now, humans and honey, we are pretty much linked to honeybees because, let's face it, honey tastes good.
Yeah.
Honey is good.
It does.
And I think there's nothing nicer than honey that you've gone and collected yourself. In fact, when you were in Malaysia, did they do that at all, the Batek tribe?
Not with us around, although I'm pretty sure they, because what I did come across was what they called sweat bees, and these bees would swarm over my hat. And at first, because at the time I was more
sweaty,
more slave to my but also more slave to my fear of those kind of things.
Yeah.
Now I'm not bothered by them, but at the time, if you imagine that I was pretty influenced by that fear, and I'm covered in like an infinity gauntlet of bees. And the guy said to me, "Don't worry, they don't sting."
No, they're stingless.
So I got a good look at them, but they made these little nests or hives that were like a weird kind of cone reverse funnel shape. They came out almost like a horizontal stalactite type thing. But no, other than that they didn't. I'm pretty sure I don't remember anything about honey and bees there. But there would have been. I just didn't come across it. I imagine
so. I mean, there's one thing humans are good at doing. It's we're fascinated with honey to basically find us food. In fact, it predates agriculture itself. The oldest known depictions of honey gathering comes from cave paintings in Spain at Curva de la Arana,
which I think means cave of spiders.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, Arana spider. Yeah.
Araña.
Yeah,
that the curvy thing on top of the N is
my Spanish is rubbish. Dated to around 7,000 BC, showing a figure climbing a ladder to extract honey from a cliffside, which I would imagine still goes on to this day in lots of other parts of the world.
It happened in that documentary that they did a little while ago, The Jungle Book.
Yes, yeah.
Remake.
Of course. So for thousands of years, honey hunting remained the norm, a dangerous practice that involves smoke, climbing, and enduring stings, basically.
Oh, yes.
Which I can't think of anything worse, being up a tree, being stung by bees.
Must have been good honey.
Yeah.
It really made kind of ancient cinnamon swirls taste good.
Now, around 2600 BCE, ancient Egyptians developed true beekeeping. Tomb paintings from the reign of Pharaoh Niasere shows rows of clay hives and beekeepers blowing smoke to keep the bees calm.
Which totally would not keep me calm. Blowing smoke in my face.
Yes, but you're not a bee. Now, honey was highly prized, not just as food, but as medicine, still is today, actually, and embalming material, not so much today, and even as a tax payment. I like the idea of doing that.
Yeah,
Let's get back into doing that. In Mesopotamia and the Levant, records show cuneiform tablets describing honey's use in trade and in rituals. The Greeks inherited this tradition, and Aristotle wrote extensively on bees in his History of Animals. The Romans advanced the practice further, which I'm sure you're thrilled with.
Oh yeah, sure didn't do much. He tweaked it here and there, and that was it.
Transporting hives along rivers or on wagons to take advantage of flowering crops in different regions.
Oh wow, that's such an advancement.
That's pretty good. You don't see people doing that today.
No,
not on rivers, but we have roads.
Cars,
yeah, all right. A precursor to modern migratory beekeeping. Now, in medieval Europe, monasteries became the center of apiculture as beeswax was essential for church candles, and honey was often the only sweetener available. And this basically, led to the sort of connection between mead and and monasteries and things like that, because it was some of the easiest alcohol to make, mead being very nice to drink. The Industrial Revolution in beekeeping arrived in 1852 with Lorenzo Langstroth when he patented the movable frame hive in the US. Now, his design allowed beekeepers to harvest honey without destroying combs, dramatically increasing the efficiency and making large-scale honey production feasible. To this day, the Langstroth hive remains the global standard, your basic standard hive.
Well, they didn't show that in Red Dead Redemption.
Well, there you go. Was it 1852? Was it?
It was a little bit after that.
So, it may not have taken off yet. Now, when I say all these different, revolutions in honey, one of the biggest ones that sticks in my mind is the Honey Guide. And it's a partnership between humans and animals. While humans across the world have learned to manage bees, in sub-Saharan Africa, a unique interspecies alliance has evolved. Now, the Greater Honey Guide, indicator, which, I mean, let's face it, that's,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, is a small bird that has specialized in eating beeswax and bees' larvae. On its own, the bird cannot penetrate the bees' colony's defenses, but has developed an extraordinary behavior, leading humans to wild hives. Basically getting us to do the hard work.
You open it and get the honey out, I'll kill everything inside.
Yeah, but the Honey Guide gives a distinct chattering call and flies ahead from tree to tree, pausing to ensure it's being followed by the people who are doing it. Now, the studies in Mozambique and Tanzania have shown that the honey hunters who follow Honey Guides are 3 times more successful in locating hives than those who do not. Once the hive is broken into with smoke and tools, humans take the honey, whilst the bird feeds on the wax and the larvae left behind. This remarkable cooperation between bird, bee, and human, the bees don't really get to cooperate, I suppose. I mean, they cooperate in that give us your honey.
In that they die.
Yeah, it's one of the rare documented examples of mutualism involving people and wild animals, a tradition passed down through generations and still practiced today.
Yeah, they really stretched the cooperation part for the bee there.
Yeah, I mean.
But yes, definitely between the indicator bird and us. Yes, definitely.
There's a couple of really good documentaries on honey guides and just that interaction between humans and these birds is amazing. It's the same sort of level of mutual. Well, it's a whole other step above, actually. Some of the mutualism you see with if you've been gardening in your garden and a robin comes along as you're turfing over the soil,
Yes.
it's waiting for you to hoof out some bugs that it can go and eat, but it's not going. The best garden
Yeah, I
bits
was gonna
over
say,
here.
in this case, both animals are helping each other.
Yeah,
In a way, I'm not sure if it is the same, but it is, in a way, I suppose it is similar to the very beginnings of the wolf-man relationship,
yeah.
in that you give us free food, we protect your camps,
Basically, yeah.
kind of
It's
thing.
it's that showing
Mm.
that we can get along.
Ethiopian wolf and the
Gelada.
gelada.
Yeah.
That's another one that comes to mind.
So today, the importance of honeybees extends far beyond honey. Although, personally, honey's the main thing I'm in it for. Managed colonies provide pollination services for agriculture on a scale that is truly unimaginable to our ancestors. Roughly 75% of leading food crops rely on insect pollination and honeybees.
It's funny that the people that grow these crops are so keen to use stuff that kills
Pesticides
the
and
bees.
yes, and it gets even sadder after this. So
Oh, I
yeah.
can imagine.
Honeybees are the most widely managed species in the United States alone. The pollination adds an estimated 15 to 20 billion dollars to crop value each year.
Mm.
Now, that is a truly staggering amount of money when you think about it. How much is going to be added just by having bees do the work for you. We live not too far from a place, Quince Honey Farm, which is it's a beekeeping themed park, theme
I
park,
suppose so. Yeah,
and
yeah.
they are an active farm that uses their bees and takes them out around the different areas to provide the same sort of services. And you'll get these large trucks that will basically transport large amounts of bees to different areas to do the pollination
Mm.
throughout the summer. Nowhere is this more visible when it comes to the pollination efforts of bees on an industrial scale. From California's Central Valley, where almond orchards span more than 1.3 million acres.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a truly sort of it's the same sort of site as like palm oil,
Mm.
row after row after row of a monoculture. Now, each February, more than 2 million bee colonies, nearly 70% of all commercial hives in the US, are trucked into this region to pollinate the blossoms. Without the bees, the almond industry, which is worth $10 billion alone, would collapse, completely gone.
Oh.
Similar stories can be told for apples in Washington state and blueberries in Maine, canola in Canada, and a multitude of places. And I didn't even touch on places like China, which have this on a much larger scale, but the numbers are hard to come across.
Mm.
But the industrialization of beekeeping has also come at a cost. Colonies are routinely driven thousands of miles across countries, exposing them to stress and disease. Monoculture crops provide abundant nectar for only a short period of time, leaving these bees nutritionally deprived for much of the year.
Mm.
Pesticides, particularly neonicotinoids, which are probably one of the worst, massively interfere with bees, their ability to navigate, forage, and reproduce. And unfortunately, neonicotinoids are still allowed in the UK,
Of course.
even though they are proven to be bee-killing pesticides. They're still allowed under various different loopholes that people get around. So, yay. Perhaps the greatest threat, though, is the varroa mite, Varroa destructor. Another fun scientific name
Yeah.
for you there. Originally a parasite of the Asian honeybee, it's
Right.
jumped to the European honeybee in the 20th century and spread worldwide. Now, the mite attaches itself to the bee's larvae and the adults, feeding on their body fat and transmitting viruses such as deformed wing virus. And an untreated colony infested with varroa will usually collapse within 2 to 3 years. It's basically a slow death. Beekeepers fight varroa mite with chemical miticides such as amatiziz, oxaloid acid, but resistance is an ongoing problem. Integrated pest management strategies have included breeding resistant bee strains such as the Russian honeybee and varroa sensitive hygiene bees that detect and remove infested broods.
Wow. Okay.
So basically,
that's pretty smart.
putting in ones that are going to pick it up, if anything. Yet, despite these efforts, Varroa remains a single most significant challenge to apiculture today. Although what I have seen of late, and not being someone who does this, as an actual hobby or anything, I don't know how good it is. But have you ever heard of a pseudoscorpion?
What, like a vinegaroon?
No. Pseudoscorpions are tiny, tiny little things, about like a centimeter big at the most.
Okay.
And there's probably one in this room. You've
Yeah.
probably got one in here, or there's certainly be ones in the garden somewhere. They are not scorpions, but they look a bit like it. Imagine taking a scorpion and taking its tail off, and just having this round little body with two little pincers at the front. They are an arachnid, but they found that having a colony of them living in the bee colony, they basically eat the varroa mites. They roam around and just go to town on them.
Snip, snip.
Yeah. So that may be the way of doing it, from a far less invasive sort of, chemical-based.
Because eventually, of course, we're going to find out these miticides have a
probably some
side
sort of
effect
horrible
as well,
effect as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, although bees dominate public attention, they represent only one of more than over 20,000 bee species worldwide. Now, we tend to focus on honeybees because they are sort of the poster child of the bee family.
Yeah.
In fact, if you speak to most people and go, have you seen those different kinds of bees? They'll be surprised that there's even any other kind than just bee.
Yeah.
Maybe bumblebee. That might be the other one.
Sometimes they differentiate between the two, but other times I have heard people lump them all in together.
Yeah. So many wild bees are more effective pollinators for specific crops. In fact, bumblebees perform buzz pollination, which, vibrating flowers like tomatoes and blueberries to release their pollen better.
All right, yeah.
Leafcutter bees are highly effective pollinators of alfalfa. Tiny midges, which are obviously not even bees at all, help to pollinate cacao trees, which without it, we'd have no chocolate.
Oh, get on midges.
The decline of wild populations of pollinators is therefore deeply concerning, because the same pesticides that kill bees also kill these guys as well. So habitat loss, pesticide use, disease, and probably the biggest one, climate change, have caused significant drops in native bee populations across the world. And in some cases, the loss has been so severe that humans have had to step in. And this is the really depressing one. In Sichuan in China, decades of pesticide overuse has eliminated local pollinators, completely gone, forcing farmers to hand pollinate pear and apple blossoms with brushes.
God, is that our future? That's
in some places, yeah.
That is awful.
This process is so labor intensive and costly, it often reaching $300 per hectare and still producing lower yields than natural pollinators.
Interjecting there, everybody who just is listening to this podcast right now, if you don't take anything away from this, I hope they take away how much that is costing people, and the comparative fact of how much it financially benefits other crop industries where the bees are present.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And take that and use it as your fuel to fight for honeybees and other pollinators.
Well, the other thing as well, if you're having to pay more per hectare of land or whatever to get it pollinated, the food price is going to go.
As you say, it'll trickle down. It's like a snowball, and we end up paying more for our food.
a pear, that sort of thing. So globally, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that the economic value of pollinators and the services they provide range between 235 billion and 575 billion per year. If bees and other pollinators disappeared, the impact would not just be financial, it would be ecological, but profoundly, basically would be the end of us.
Yeah.
Because with no pollinators, bees included, and this is everything that pollinates, we have about 10 years left, because we go back to a pre-Cretaceous world of no pollination of fruits, vegetables, cereal crops, any of those plants. And you think about your diet. Now, you may be the most ardent carnivore in the world, but what does the food you eat? It eats plants.
I'm just thinking of all the, Freddy's and stuff.
Yeah. So if you're still happy with the slow extinction of the human race, or happy with bees to disappear, get used to eating conifers and ginkgos, I suppose.
And when you say it'll take us back before the Cretaceous,
We don't get the dinosaur. We don't get the fun bit.
We don't get the fun bit. We just get the awful bit.
We just get the all of a sudden we don't have anything that pollinates. And there will be some of you who say, well, some lizards and bats pollinate, but
not to the same extent.
Not to the same extent. So yeah, bees are a fascinating animal, and like I say, so much more important to us than I would say financially, so much more important than a lot of other animals. But that's
financially more important than people like Elon Musk.
Well, yeah, definitely. And I'd much rather be surrounded by a bunch of bees than Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Far less racist and just far nicer to be around a bunch of bees.
The human wetsuit.
Shall we move into the emails?
Yeah.
Bing! You've got mail. Ooh, it's an email.
Right, well, we're into this week's emails. We've been making each other laugh by doing Jim Carrey quotes a second ago, but we'll try and bring the tone back down. So we'll start things off with last week's question, which was, what has been your best wildlife moment of the summer? You start us off, Aaron.
Alrighty then.
Let's do what you want to do.
The first one comes just from Robin Clark, who says, having a large herd of red deer jump over the hedge onto the road and then leap up the opposite bank. Me and my sister were on the way to the zoo, but arguably that sight was more exciting than the zoo.
I mean, that's also mildly terrifying as well if you're driving and on a country lane. Jen Babs, seeing our local roe deer babies and catching them on my wildlife camera. I'm glad that it was on a camera, just catching roe deer babies. Also, the lizard on my hike in Yorkshire, finally seeing the swallows who nested in the barn. I'm assuming it's she's accidentally just wrote lizard twice, because I don't know of any lizards.
So some lizards are just extra.
So they need to
name lizards.
Seeing the swallows who nested in the barn, fledging and zooming around, which is nice.
Then Catherine Ames has offered the elephant hawk moth I raised from caterpillar found in my garden has hatched.
Yeah, she's included
It's really cool. Well. Yeah, there's a video on our Facebook for that.
And then my other half has put, seeing how excited my partner gets when we see certain rarer native animals in the wild. I'm gonna say that's probably when I saw the stork. The stork, yeah. Right. I did get a little excited. Look, it's a cool animal. I've not seen one flying in the wild.
It's fair.
I think I just shouted in that moment, which freaked everyone out when we were in the car. So anyway, that was last week's question. This week's question is, what's your favorite pollinator? Doesn't have to be a bee. It can be any pollinator, really. I mean, you've got fruit bats, you've got birds. I believe sloths, I think, count, don't they? I think they may pollinate. So. Slow lorises, I think, are also in there as well. There's a big selection to choose from of animals that pollinate. Aaron, what's your favorite pollinator?
Well, as you know, this took me a bit of time to work out because my head was stuck in bees, and I thought that would be a bit. Considering we've just spoken about bees, I should offer something else up. And then it came to my head that actually Gallotia gallotti is a known pollinator, and that is
the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, it should do.
Is it a lizard?
It is a lizard.
No, go on.
It's the Tenerife giant lizard. And by that extension, and the one I should opt for if my missus was in the room with me, is the Gran Canaria giant lizard.
Yeah.
But I think the Tenerife one is just a little bit prettier.
Yeah. I like that's the one I have seen is the Tenerife one.
A close third, it's also a lizard, I'm afraid, and it's also Spanish, is the Balearic wall lizard. So that's the wall lizard that you find in like the Mallorca, Menorca, and Ibiza.
Yeah, they're quite cool. I see. There's so many to choose from.
Hmm.
I think I'd end up going with there's some really stunning looking bird species and insect species that are pollinators. I'm going to go with the classic one that I think is just such a really cool one to see, and that's the hummingbird hawk moth. Because even though it's not a particularly rare species, it's just such a stunning looking moth that year after year, people when they see it are still amazed to see, and
Yeah,
it's still a really cool one to see as well.
it is a good one. Yeah.
So you can let us know what your favorite pollinator is on our Facebook page. That'll be up, so you can let us know what you think, and we'll go from there. But that is just one way you can get in contact with us is through our Facebook page. But we're also on all of our usual social medias: TikTok, Instagram. That's it, and YouTube, obviously. Facebook, yes. Well, I just said Facebook.
Fair enough.
Where you can let us know what's going on or your thoughts on any of our videos, or like, subscribe, all of those sort of things, and that stuff. But you can also send us an email if you want to, which is thenathistorykcupboard@gmail.com. What have we got, Aaron?
Well, he was kind enough to send us in some article suggestions this week. So our email comes to us from Abhijit Borkar. And he says, "Hello, Aaron and Gareth. Hope you have had a nice summer and holidays. I'm looking forward to the upcoming episodes in the autumn. I have a few things to email. Number one, you pronounce my name correctly. Do you know what? I'm going to read this off my mobile phone because it's a little bit easier to control. Just bear with me a second because I do have it open as well, just in case this did occur. Basically, it's when it's the position of our camera and our lighting is right in front of the teleprompter, essentially. So yeah, number one, you pronounce my name correctly. If you want to get absolutely perfect, my last name, Borka, rhymes with Kerr rather than Car, but no pressure to pronounce it perfect. I would like to pronounce it perfect.
We're not very good at getting the pronunciations of many things correct around here.
Yeah, but where possible, I would like to know that I am pronouncing our listeners' names properly or our viewers' names properly, since you're kind enough to spend the time with us. So that has been noted, and also thank you for correcting us. Name corrections are always welcome. Number two, something you listeners might want to check out is that article that I've just covered.
The Czech
National Museum in Prague. Check out the Czech. Also, for the news section, his number three is the bit about Mars.
Yeah.
If you want to, he also said, relatedly, if you want to discuss any astronomical topics on the podcast, I'll be happy to contribute. Maybe we get you in, I think, and have you on to talk to us via.
It can't go any worse than our last attempt at stargazing, where we sat out there and froze to death.
That predates. Well, as far as we're aware, based on interaction, that predates Abhijit. But yes, there is a video of us not doing anything,
literally freezing to death.
Yes, but he's quite right. I would like to get him on to talk and join in. That would be good. Thank you. Number four, a question for discussion. So this is his question to us. This is the main bulk of his email now. He says, why is there a focus on... I've had this conversation with my colleague recently. Why is there a focus on trying to figure out what makes humans unique in the animal kingdom? In the past, it was thought that humans were uniquely capable of using tools, but that was shown to be wrong. It was thought humans were the only intelligent animals, but now we think there are many different animals quite intelligent in several different ways.
And many humans that are not very intelligent.
Yeah. We see a similar discussion in anthropology, where Homo sapiens or genus Homo are thought to be unique in some ways, but new research keeps showing that that isn't the case. We know that humans are part of the animal kingdom, and as we evolved from common ancestors, most of the properties we have are going to be similar to some other animals, and are going to be on the spectrum, with humans being occasionally better at some things than most animals. Yet there seems to be a desire to answer the question, what makes humans unique? It's more apparent in popular science, where titles are surprised, where titles are surprised that where titles I might be reading this wrong, where turtles are surprised that some animals can do things we thought only humans could do. My question is, why does this thinking still persist in both popular media and in some human animal research? What are your thoughts? Best regards, Abhijit. Thank you very much for the email. That's a really good question.
Interestingly enough, on that, literally this week I did a TikTok, in fact it was yesterday, on tool usage. It was literally one of the first major defining points that people go with as to what makes humans unique. But yeah, it was disproven in the 60s very quickly by the likes of Jane Goodall, who showed that obviously chimps could use tools. And then we started going, oh, wait, hang on. That animal uses tools. That one, oh, okay, that one does. Oh, okay, right, okay. We really are just one who does it. Do you know what I'm going to say? The major defining thing that makes us different from animals, we have donuts. The donuts are not a naturally occurring thing, and we are the only people, we're the only creature that has invented donuts to this day.
I got a colleague at work who, a lovely guy, but I think he worries too much about things, and he's constantly asking me either what unites all human beings, or
donuts.
what separates us. And I think Abhijit's absolutely right. We as a species are constantly trying to separate ourselves from nature, and I think it has come, like, not to get too offensive, but I think it has come from our religious past.
Yes, yeah.
The way of trying to make us somehow special or closer to our god or gods.
Yeah.
That defines us. And the truth is that
we're not anything
we are
special.
humans. We evolved. We're special. But on that note, I was listening to some podcasts and some videos on anthropology and our history and our ancestors, and I'm sure this will probably be covered in the exhibition in Prague. But one person I was talking to made a very strong case, and I buy into it wholeheartedly now. That we are just here because we're lucky.
Yeah.
And if it like Neanderthals, for example, they could have been we could have been two Neanderthals doing this podcast. That we were so similar in terms of intellect, in terms of physical ability, in terms of everything.
Well, they were actually more physically capable than we were.
Yeah, but not to such a degree that it would cause too much difference. It is luck that we are here and there.
And they were more specialized to their environment during the glacial maximum of the ice age. But yeah, we are just, I think you hit the nail on the head. We are sort of conditioned to make ourselves more special, although we are drastically different in some ways from other animals in that we communicate. Well, animals communicate, but
I was going to say
we sort of communicate.
We can't even say that
more complex ideas,
because elephants have names for each other. And I think dolphins too.
I feel that humans can put more complex ideas. I mean, this is only until we can basically show that the biggest thing that in my mind, this is completely somewhat of a tangent. The biggest thing that in my mind that we have not done to this point is we've not been able to communicate with animals yet. That's the biggest thing growing up. It's always like, I can't wait for the day when they invent some sort of translator for animals. I know that animal communication doesn't work in the same way that, talking to someone in English to someone speaking German would just be a case of finding out what the root language is or whatever, because it's drastically different. But I think
but then again,
sort of separates us in. I don't know.
I'll let you finish your thing.
I think we're able to put across more complex ideas than some animals, but that is just our perceived way of doing it because that is our environment. To a chimpanzee, it doesn't need to worry about taxation or something like that. So it's something that never comes up. It's an invented thing that we have made up to basically fill our time.
And I have worked extremely briefly with them.
Oh, they're incredibly similar to humans.
Do you not believe that they conceptualize and consider their condition
Some things, yes.
Because
Yeah.
I do. But the one point I was going to raise is you were talking about like complex thoughts. That's true until
Maths, I
we
think.
discover that that's the next progression of where we go with, do elephants have language?
Yeah.
Because they have names for each other and they use them in context of things, which means that there could, doesn't mean that there is. Kind of like that Mars thing, that there is reason to believe that we should look into whether or not they have complex thought.
Well, that's why I go with the only thing that really makes us that different is we've come up with donuts.
Although, if you strip that down,
don't say that other animals have invented donuts.
No, they haven't. But if you strip it down, other animals are capable of making their own food.
True.
So I raise you a different one.
All right, we've made Lego. How's that?
Humans are the only ones who can make Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Although I would be intrigued to see a guinea pig version of it.
Not a guinea pig version. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in guinea pigs, but maybe and Star Wars, but maybe not
all guinea pig cast. I don't know why I chose guinea pigs. Looks a bit like Chewbacca.
Some people need to have faith in something bigger than themselves in order to get through the day.
Yeah.
I don't judge them for that. But in order to do that, they need to feel special. And the way they feel special is by separating themselves from other organisms.
I think, if anything, it lessens things by removing yourself from the animal kingdom.
I think you lose the magic in life.
Yeah, basically.
We are part of something bigger than ourselves by being an animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There's our deep philosophy.
We've gone really, yeah.
I don't think.
Send us your thoughts in 10 words or less.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Big Pumba says about this because he always has. Whenever something philosophical comes up, he's always got a interesting answer from his part. So
I'm going to say we're
the
only creatures that have invented donuts and Lego. Two things I like. So yeah. Anyway, do we have any more emails?
Not for this week. I am saving a couple for next week.
Okay. Well, that's one way you can get in contact with us, is like I say, our email address. I did want to just give a quick shout out to our ever-growing Instagram followers, who seem to have just exploded out of nowhere thanks to a video that I put up the other week, or a couple of weeks ago now, of tuataras, my interaction with a tuatara in a collection in New Zealand. That seems to have gone absolutely mad. So yes, welcome to all of our new Instagram followers, and hopefully that has then led you to come and watch the main show. So yeah. But another way that you can get involved is by becoming a Patreon, and we're going to tell you about them now.
Every week, we like to give a little love back by shouting out the names of our wonderful Patreon supporters.
That's right. These are the cupboard dwellers who are kind enough to support us through a monetary contribution, for which we are eternally grateful and grateful beyond words.
And those people are, of course, Fogtober, Jen Greenhall, Connie P, Chelsea McKee, Nick to Nick,
Owen Cox,
and Matt Geddy.
Guys, your financial contributions are actively helping us out here in the Natural History Cupboard in a myriad of ways, including developing our new studio, planning excursions and being able to go out and film on location, considering technical upgrades, and actually making the jump from a solely audio-based podcast to the now growing YouTube channel. And we really can't thank you enough for that.
Now, we appreciate all of our cupboard dwellers and the support you offer us through listening, liking, sharing, and subscribing. But if you feel we've earned it and you're considering joining our Patreon, there are two options through which you can do so.
That's the Nature Nerds and the Animal Ambassador tiers, which you can find on the Patreon website or links through our social media as well, and each one having different benefits for you to enjoy.
And now back to Gareth and Erin in the studio.
Right, well, a massive thank you to our Patreons there. Like I say, we couldn't do what we do without you. But that pretty much brings us to the end of this week's episode. So big thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Gareth.
Big thank you, Nintendo, because you're clearly sponsoring all of this. It's been wonderful. Yes, thank you. Just let the money roll on in. No, next week I will remember to wear the right clothing. But a big thank you to you at home for watching, and we will see you next time here in the Natural History Cupboard. Bye.
Bye.
So, Erin, I've got a couple of bad bee jokes for you.
Okay.
Bee puns more than anything.
Bee puns.
What do bees wear when they go to the beach?
Don't know.
A bikini.
That was obvious.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna do that. When did I think of it?
Why didn't the bee get to go to the dance?
Don't know.
Because it was a mothball.
Okay, that wasn't so obvious. That was all right. That one.
What's more amazing than a talking dog?
I don't know.
A spelling bee.
Uh,
And finally, what bee goes into space?
don't know.
Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah, fair.